So, great win. Great way to start a series against, the first place team in our conference. The energy was electric, man. The fans showed up tonight and really boosted our energy level, right? We came out and from the get-go and started with Cuvée, a couple 2-run home runs early, and that's a recipe for success. When your best hitter is swinging the bat well, your pitching is throwing strikes, and your defense is making plays behind you, it's a great recipe for success, and that's kind of what we saw tonight.
Just more with Daniel, for him to be able to do that, and those opportunities early, kind of boosts does that give your team in a game like this?
Oh, it's great. You look to your leaders to lead, right? And he's been a great leader all year, but he's starting to swing a hot bat, and that's similar to what he did last year when we really got going late in the season last year. So anytime that your big guy in the middle of the lineup is swinging the bat well, it makes it tough to beat.
And the sac fly, to kind of overlook from his homers, but how big was that?
Huge, and the insurance runs are huge, man. They would have had to lead off a double at the tying run at second base or in the ninth instead of, the tying run being at the plate. So you definitely pitch different. You play your defense a little bit different. So made Brian's job a little easier and Fisher's job easier as well.
Would you make a Griffin's start?
It was good. He battled. Those guys did a good job, especially with 2 strikes and just putting the ball in play, staying inside of the baseball and hitting the ball the other way a little bit. But typical Griffin, he's going to give you the best, whatever he's got that day, and he did a good job of competing and giving us a chance to win. He definitely did not want to come out of the game in the 6th, but they're tough decisions, man. We got to take your Friday night guy out. We feel really good of the job our bullpen's been doing here as of late, and got to kind of settle into the row, and that's Giroux' role right there in the 6th inning to get out of a jam.
Can you stay more with the bullpen, particularly with Carson? What have you seen this stretch that he's on, and maybe your confidence in him to stick with them? I know the numbers weren't necessarily great at one point there in the season.
When it comes to the bullpen, I think the numbers just throw them out the window because the amount of innings aren't enough to tell you the whole story. So you go off of his ERA when you only have 15, 20 innings. You got 2 or 3 bad innings, and that's going to have that 6 ERA. But as of late, the last 15, 20 games, he's been outstanding for us. One of our top guys out of the bullpen, and that's why he's in that role as a setup guy. So he came in throwing strikes, and hitters were not getting good swings off him, so we left him in there for the 8th inning.
And with Brian Walters, JD, I know we talked yesterday with this, about him or just in general, but again, just for him to be able to be so successful in this role, it didn't work out essentially work as a starter, but in season for him to be able to do that, what does it say about him and to be at this level already?
I don't think he failed at his role. I think we pushed him to be a starter, and he's just not a starter. He's a better reliever, and it's similar to his brother. His junior year, we messed around in the fall a little bit with him being a starter, but he's a closer. That's the mentality he has, and that's a similar mentality to Brian. He comes out for an inning or 2 and just empties the tank and goes right after hitters. It's tough to do that, for 100 pitches as a starter. He's just more successful when he comes out 8th and 9th inning.
I think they were 4 for 19. I'm not sure. 4 for 19, I think, with runners on base for your pitchers. They were giving up some hits, but for them not to hold them to 4 runs.
Yeah, it's managing big innings and minimizing damage. And again, a big part of it, we turned a couple double plays, I believe, in tonight's game. So we gave him a run there, and then trying to throw the lead runner out at third base with bottom of the order up. But those are decisions that you make in the heat of the moment, and Ogden's trying to make a great play. But you learn from those, and understand what the situation is, where we're at in the order, and the score, and the inning. That would have been a great play in the 8th inning if that's a tying run, but not in the 3rd or 4th inning, whatever inning that was.
You would have preferred him to throw it to first on that play?
Yeah, I mean, early in the game, you're up 2, you're going to trade outs. You got the 9-hole hitter coming up. If you throw to first, you got the 9-hole hitter coming up with 2 outs. Your chances are better, trying to make a spectacular play. If it was a right-handed hitter and he's playing closer to third base, it's an easier play. With a left-handed hitter, he's cheating up the middle, and there's a long throw against his body, flat-footed. It's a tough play to make. It would have been he made some great plays today, stealing home and other things like that, and swinging the bat. But that's a really tough play to make for any shortstop.
What'd you make with his steal at home?
It was great, man. It's that inning really made the difference because we had second and third and nobody out. If we don't score a run there, it's really deflating and it puts momentum on their side. So stealing that in more ways than one, not just taking the lead, but just keeping the momentum on our side. That was a huge, huge play.
Speaking of that, the team, you constantly describe it as resilient, but more and more as recently, it's been a very gritty team. Do you think that's the identity now, or has that just been something that the team has always been?
I think it's always been. Some things, games just bounces weren't going all the way early on, and it seems like things are working out for us right now. And they should have had second and third and nobody out in that 6th inning. And the base runner got off third base a little bit, took his eye off the ball, and again Ogden made a great play throwing behind him and getting a rundown, and that's again a momentum shifter there, man, because that's between stealing home plate and throwing behind that guy, those are two huge momentum plays that we needed.
So now you have 9 in a row. You're going to try and continue to keep this streak going. Just the energy level, you saw what the crowd was doing tonight, likely a bigger crowd tomorrow. How do you galvanize everybody and continue to push into the next
It's huge. I've always said, and again, I've been a King my whole life, and there's nowhere better to win than Miami. And when the fans show up and they bring the energy, it's a tough place to play for that opposing team, and they tend to make mistakes they're not accustomed to making because of the fans. So I hope they keep showing up and supporting us, and we were playing for them. And it's a really fun atmosphere to play in front of.